Here I will give you a quick guide on how to implement the Romanian deadlift for powerlifting. To do a Romanian deadlift, pick a weight that is somewhere between 50 and 70% of your 1 rep max on the conventional deadlift. You can do a regular conventional deadlift to get the barbell up or take it from pins on a power rack. From here, push your hips back as you lower the weight while keeping your legs straight. Stop the eccentric once you feel that your back is about to start rounding. This will mark the end of the range of motion for your hamstrings. From here, shoot the hips forward and raise the weight. Rounding your back is not necessarily bad as long as you have braced properly, but by doing so, the tension will move away from the glutes and hamstrings and towards the spinal erectors. Since the point of a Romanian deadlift is to work hip extension, i.e. hams and glutes, rounding the back really only adds unnecessary fatigue, which is why I recommend you avoid it. As I mentioned earlier, the Romanian deadlift focuses on your hamstrings and glutes. As a powerlifter, these muscles are really important on both squats and deadlifts, but particularly on the deadlift. So the main reason to implement RDLs into your training is to add volume to the posterior chain and strengthen these areas. You will know if you have a weakness in your hip extensors if you notice your sticking point on the deadlift is around your knees and or if you find that you have to hitch the weight to get it to lockout, which is not allowed in powerlifting meets, by the way. Another reason to have this in your training might be to strengthen your grip, as you are holding the weight basically in the same way as you would in a conventional deadlift, but for longer periods of time than in regular deadlift sets. Finally, add this to your volume days for the lower body. You can choose to use a belt or not, depending on how beaten your spinal erectors are after your squats and your deadlifts. You want to do this after the bigger compounds, but not at the end, so as you don't want to have too much fatigue going by the time you get to this. And finally, I recommend sets of at least 8 reps. You can start with 3 sets of 8 to 12. You can apply a double dynamic progression, starting with 50% of your conventional deadlift, 1 rep max. Hope you found this video helpful.